Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Coach G from Final Round Training. I'm here at our Little Falls location, and I'm going to give you 5 push-up variations that you can do at home to target different areas of your chest and to make sure you're getting some good workouts in, even if you don't have any equipment like you would have in a gym. Let's get to it. All right, so the first one is the standard push-up. This is the bread and butter, right? This is our basic movement pattern of a push motion. So what I'd like to do with my clients is we're going to get you started in a high plank position. The most important part is making sure that your shoulders start above your hands. I don't want you to be like this and people are doing their push-ups and they don't understand why they're hard. You're just not in a good position, right? So we want to make sure that shoulder is right above the hands, feet shoulder width apart. From that position, I'm going to slowly lower myself, and notice that I'm keeping my elbows tight to my body. Then I push back up. So I always want that elbow tight. We don't really want to do the push-ups. Look where my elbows are going out to the side. You're really focusing a lot more on the shoulders with that movement, and it's just not, you're not going to target the chest or the tricep the way you normally would if you keep your elbows tight. So shoulders above the hands, hands shoulder width apart, my feet together. I'm going to slowly come down, keeping those elbows tight to my body. When I come down to the ground, notice my hands are by my chest, and then look, I push right back up, down and up. Now, if you want a more modified version of this, maybe you can't do regular floor push-ups. We want you to find an elevated platform, so either like a bench or a couch at home. You're going to go ahead and put your hands on top of that bench and use the elevation to help you still get that same range of motion. It's going to take a lot of the pressure off. On the flip side, if you want it to be a little bit more advanced, put your feet on that elevated position so that you have more of a declined angle with your body, and you're going to put a lot more weight on your upper body, so it's going to make the presses a lot harder. All right, now the second variation you can do at home is called a diamond push-up. I'm going to make this position with my hands, and I'm actually going to have my pointer finger and thumb touching to make the shape of a diamond. So when I'm on the ground, same rule of thumb applies. I want the shoulder above the hands, hands on the ground. I'm going to make that diamond, and I want my chest to hit the center of that diamond. So I'm going to come down, trying to keep my elbows tight to my body. Again, they are going to flare out a little bit. That's fine. But look, my chest is touching right in the center of that diamond, and then I'm going to press back up. Now, the reason we would do this is because it's going to target a lot more of the center of your chest as well as your triceps. Your triceps are going to be on fire doing this exercise. So make that shape with the diamond. If it's a little too hard, you can also separate your hands a little bit. Same position, separate a little bit just to give a little pressure off of the wrist. Sometimes having your hands close together like that is a little tough on the wrist. So if you need to, just separate your hands a little bit, but I'm still doing that same motion. My chest is coming down to the center of my hands. Now on the flip side, again, if you need a modification, you can go ahead and add some elevation. Adding the elevation is going to take a lot of the pressure off of the wrist. It is going to make the exercise easier to do. If you want it harder, again, put your feet on the platform to add more weight to the press. All right, now the third variation we're going to work on is a wide push-up. This is typically going to work a lot more of the front of your shoulder as well as the side of your chest. So we're going to get down into that position again. Instead of being shoulder width apart this time, I want to go just a little bit further out. You don't have to make a huge difference, right? It's not going from here to here, right? I want to shoulder width, then just about one hand placement out further than that. If it bothers your wrist, you can also turn your hands out slightly, and that'll take pressure off. We're going to be here in this position, nice and wide. Turn your wrists out again if you need that for the wrist, just to alleviate some of the pain. Want to keep my elbows tight to my body and still come up. So I'm still doing that push-up motion, but notice that just my elbows are out a little bit to the side. They kind of have to be because of the position of my hands. As always, if we need to modify this, you want to go ahead and prop yourself up on an elevated position, keeping your hands, again, shoulder width a little further than shoulder width apart to get that easier version in on the bench or on the couch. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can go ahead and put your feet on that elevated position and then add a lot more tension and pressure to that press. All right, now the fourth variation we're going to work on is a shoulder push-up. This is intended to work specifically on the front of the shoulders again. We're going to get in a high plank position to start. So I'm here, my hands, my shoulders are above those hands. Now what I'm going to do from this position to change it up is I'm going to do like a downward dog. So once you're in the high plank, I'm going to raise my hips up really high, keeping my legs kind of straight. and I'm going to do a downward dog. So this is the position that I want to be in for this push-up. If you need to, you can separate your feet. I'm going to keep my hands here. I'm going to stay in my downward dog position, and I'm going to bend my elbows and bring my head really close to the floor. Notice that my hips are staying up really high, and then I push back up. If you want to make this a little harder on the ground, you can simply walk your hands closer to your feet. You're going to get a little bit more range of motion. It's going to be a lot more tension on the hamstrings and a lot more tension on the shoulders as well. But again, by simply walking my hands closer to my feet, I'm going to make the exercise harder. If I have trouble doing this exercise in particular, the easiest way to modify, honestly, is just to stick to a standard push-up. If you're not ready to do this motion yet, there isn't really a good modification for this if you're elevated, because I can't bring my hips higher than my hands, so it's still not really going to feel the same. I'd much rather you stick with the standard push-up. Wait till you can do at least 10 reps of those before you move on to this exercise. Now, if you want to make this more intense, you can do so by simply elevating your feet just like before. It is going to put a lot more pressure on your shoulders, and it is going to be a lot harder. This is a much easier exercise to advance, not one that's easy to regress. All right, now the fifth and final variation, we saved the best for last, is the archer push-up. This is a very advanced push-up. Again, if you cannot do a standard push-up for at least 10 reps, I would recommend avoiding doing this one as well. The wide push-up is a great one to build up to this. So when you can do 10 standard push-ups, you're going to move on to the wide push-ups, and once you can do 10 of those, you're ready for the archer push-up. All right, now the motion for this exercise is a little different. I'm going to demonstrate on my knees just so I can show a little easier, and then we'll talk about how to actually get into this position. So when I'm doing the archer push-up, I'm going to start with my hands out wide, kind of like I'm doing a wide push-up. And then look, I'm going to lean to one side. I'm going to lay down real quick just to demonstrate. My one hand is really close to my chest, while the other one is kind of extended, and I'm in this position. Once I'm here, I'm going to press up back to center, and then doing it correctly, it would look like this. I'm going to lean to one side. My elbow is tight. My other arm is straight. Slight bend in the elbow is okay. And then I press back. So I'm actually moving side to side. You can modify this exercise by simply coming up and putting your hands on an elevated position. It is going to make it easier, but again, I would strongly recommend that you make sure you can do 10 standard push-ups at least before you try doing this exercise. As always, to make it more advanced, you can elevate your feet, and it is going to make it a lot harder, but this exercise is hard enough that I don't think you're going to need to do that. Stick to the ground, focus on just getting high reps. So again, we're here in this position. I'm going to lean to one side. You can keep your palms facing, or turn your hands to keep the pressure off the wrist. Come back up, lean to the other side, come back up, and then we keep alternating in that position. By going side to side, you're working the side of the chest. You're also working your shoulders, your triceps, and it is hitting the center of your chest when you're coming in on the one side and pressing up. So it's a really, really good exercise. It hits a lot of areas of the chest, hits a lot of the upper body, and it's a great way to work your way up and really improve on your push-ups. And there you have it, guys. We have our 5 different push-up variations that you can do at home. You do not need any equipment to get good results. You just have to be consistent. You have to know how to play around with the motions, right? We want to hit different areas of the chest. So I'm going to just play around with my hand position to make sure that I'm hitting everything I want to hit. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what other videos you want to see from us, and we'll be sure to add that to the list of future content.